Alright, cheers guys. I gotta wet my throat after doing that first video. That reminds me, there's somebody who was asking about the shirt that I'm presently wearing, and this was a month or two ago, and I keep forgetting to show the shirt, but it's Freddy and Jason. It's sort of like the American Gothic picture, but with, with Freddy and Jason. Alright, so welcome to my channel. This is Jason's Weird Reads, and if you're new here, this is where we talk about horror books, fantasy books, and some science fiction books. And if you like the sounds of that, please subscribe. Alright, so I recently went to the bookstore and bought close to $200 worth of books. I did this for two reasons. One, I'm going on a book restriction ban for physical books in 2021. Because I just don't have the space anymore. You can see the books are just stacked up, and pretty soon they're going to need to be stacked up on the floor. I need to get rid of some. And also because I recently had a 5-year anniversary at my work, where I work, and they gave me a gift card to my bookstore so that I could go on a book buying binge, and I just did that, and I just got back from that. So we're just going to pull out books from this bag, and I'll talk about them. Alright, so I talked about this one already. I'm going to be reading this book with Brad Proctor and a few other people over on his Discord channel or server. And speaking of Discord, if you please, I have a Discord now as well. The information for that's just down there, but we're going to be reading Way of Kings in July. And I have the smaller paperback version of this, but I really wanted the big one because the small pocketbook is so big. It's like 1,400 pages long. It's crazy. This one clocks in at just about 1,000 pages. So we're going to be reading this. A lot of people talking about this series. I read half of this about two and a half years ago, and I stopped reading it just because of the sheer size of this book. I was not prepared. I did not prepare myself enough, but this time I've got it down, I think. I mean, I did finish Wheel of Time this year. I spent a year reading that series, so I think that was a good way to practice to get into The Way of Kings. That's kind of a weird thing to say, but yeah, The Way of Kings is huge. My God, it's huge. So, Way of Kings, I had to get this because also it goes with my collection. I have Words of Radiance in this version, and then I have Oathbringer in hardcover, and I'm planning on getting Rhythm of War in hardcover as well. So it just fits, I guess, a bit better than it did. Alright, speaking of series, I'm going to go with those actually, because I did have, I used to have this book. I don't know what happened to it. I'm thinking I might have sold it at a used bookstore, or I gave it away. I don't know what happened, but I don't have it anymore, so I went and I rebought this book. I'm actually currently about a quarter of the way through, so I'm hoping to finish this sometime in January, but I plan on moving right along to Deadhouse Gate, which I have right here, but I already own it. So, because I plan on reading Malazan all year long, I have books 1, 2, and 3 here. And so, while I was at the bookstore, well, I bought this one today. While I was at the bookstore, I bought book 4, House of Chains, and this is a big boy too. Maybe everything is in training to read this series, like the whole Wheel of Time, how I compared that to being like training. Maybe the training is for this series, because this series is dense. I'm going to take a break from the fantasy books. Actually, I only have one more, I think. I got a couple of horror books here, because, like I said, I'm definitely not stopping reading horror. I got this for me and my son to read together, and it's In a Dark, Dark Room and Other Scary Stories. It's definitely like a kid's book. It's actually like a level 2 reading skill. And so I'm going to get my son to read this to me. And the art in here is really awesome. Like look at this. when we were at the bookstore today, he was actually, my son was actually the one to bring this up to me and said that I would like reading this book. And I was like, you're right, but if I'm buying this book, we're reading it together. And it actually took some convincing because he's kind of afraid of horror right now. But he did agree. So I'm looking forward to reading this with him. And Cosmology of Monsters. There's been a lot of discussions on Booktube recently about this book, and it's a book I've been wanting to read for a while, and so I finally broke down and got it. And also, this book has been on my on my TBR for an embarrassing amount of time as well. A Lush and Seething Hell. It's actually 2 novellas collected together by John Horner Jacobs. I've heard a lot of really great things about this, and this is definitely more well, they're both cosmic horror, weird fiction type stories, and well, that's my bag. So I'm definitely looking forward to reading this. I really like the idea that this is 2. One was previously unreleased, and the other one, the first story, or I don't know if it's the first story or not, but the other story is one that has been released before. The Sea Dreams, It Is the Sky. And the second story is My Heart Struck Sorrow. And so I'm really looking forward to digging into this at some point. Alright, one more fantasy. I believe Rachel from Shades of Orange discussed this book. She read this author's science fiction work, and that stuff is supposed to be pretty dense. So I thought maybe I would start with the fantasy because it's apparently a little bit more reader friendly, and that is A Phoenix Extravagant by Yoon-Ha Lee. Now, I don't really know too much about this book other than the fact that it's about a couple of artists who get mixed up in some sort of political game. And I love politics in books, and I think this sounds really awesome. This is an author I've been meaning to read, and I'm a little intimidated by the science fiction work that this author has done recently. Name is escaping me right now, but I really want to read that. But I want to read something that's probably a little more reader friendly, especially since I'm tackling the Malazan books. So I heard this is a little bit more reader friendly, and so I'm really looking forward to reading this. And it's a really beautiful book too. Like I just love that cover art, you know. And the naked version is kind of neat. So there's that. I don't know when I'll get to this. Hopefully in the first half of 2021. And this book, I am, as I mentioned, I like politics. I like reading about politics. And when President Obama was in office, it's pretty interesting, all the things he was doing in office. And you know, I kind of grew to admire the man a little bit as a Canadian, fan of, I guess, America and its media and politics and whatnot. And so I decided to get Barack Obama, his memoirs in the presidential office. Now I've been listening to this on audiobook because the president here, he reads it, and so that is a really cool experience. And I bought the book for him because I know I'm going to want to read it again, and I might not want to read the audiobook. I might want to read it with my eyes. And this is actually a really interesting book. It's Barack Obama has a really good, interesting reading style that I think is very approachable and yet kind of beautiful. The one thing I really like about this book is how he tells 2 stories that make up his presidential, what he was doing as a president. And the 2 stories being his family life and, his job as being the president of the most powerful country in the world. So, and also all the, there's like some subplots, like all the challenges that he had doing so, being an African American in the, in the big seat. So yeah, I'm looking forward to reading this again. And also, you know, the books, they always have the pictures. So I really like that they have pictures. The pictures can sometimes be the best part. Especially if there's pictures of some of the people he talks about in this book, because just because I'm a fan of this stuff doesn't mean that I know what everyone looks like. Alright, so that is my probably my final book haul of 2020. I'm pretty sure I'm not getting any books for Christmas because the only thing I really asked for Christmas was more equipment for all my videos. So my job gave me the books this year for Christmas, and that was them. So thank you for watching, and keep being safe, keep being creative, and I'll catch you guys in the next bookish video.